with BuzzFeed. You know, it's kind of like bees in the hive, talking about hive mind, which is tonight's topic, groupthink. It's going to be a great episode. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Justin. And tonight we'll be talking about the psychological phenomenon known as groupthink. Do you know what groupthink is?
I've heard, like, you know, vegans? Is it that stuff?
No, not so much. Let's go to our correspondent, Ryan, who's in the field. Ryan?
Thanks, guys. I'm at the college at Brockport today, and I'm going to be asking students if they know what groupthink is. Do you know what groupthink is?
A little bit, not too much.
I have no idea what it is.
I have a little bit of an understanding about what it is. It's the kind of mob mentality. Everybody has their own individual thought process, but when they're in a larger group, they might kind of put aside their own morals, values, kind of emotions for whatever the group is thinking, and ultimately think that some items are okay that they wouldn't normally think that are okay when they're in their own individual thought process.
Do either of you know what groupthink is?
I do not. I have an idea of what it is, but I'm not super sure about it.
Yeah. Glad to see I'm not the only one who doesn't get it.
We should go talk to an expert and see what they say about it.
That'd be great.
Groupthink is a psychological phenomena that occurs when people gather and the desire or need for harmony and consensus along with conformity overrides any sort of critical analysis and thinking. One or more members of the group will actively mobilize to suppress any kind of dissent that occurs within the group.
So as you can see, the concept of groupthink is a really complex theory to understand.
Let's take it back out to Ryan in the field for more.
Thanks, guys. I'm in the field. Shit. Wait.
No.
Yo, where are you, Ryan? That's... Oh my goodness. That's not the right field at all.
Yeah, alright, let's give her a second here.
Yeah, while we're waiting, let's go to... Oh, wait. Okay, she's back.
No, alright, cool.
Well, yeah. Ryan, to you again.
There are 9 characteristics of groupthink. The first are mind guards. The second is self-censorship. The third is pressure. The fourth is sanctimony. The fifth are stereotypes. The sixth is rationalization or justification. The seventh is the bandwagon effect. The eighth is the illusion of invulnerability. And the ninth is partisan thinking and behavior. Now we're going to hand it back over to our expert to go over what a couple of these mean.
The first sign that groupthink may be occurring is that you'll recognize there's one or more people that act as mind guards. A mind guard is someone that either has come into the group with a pre-sanctioned agenda, or they come into the group and their chief goal is to make sure there's no conflict or dissent. And they actually will mobilize in ways, using a number of strategies to quiet anybody that might have an alternative opinion, have new ideas. Another sign that groupthink might be occurring is when you realize there is partisan thinking and behavior. This is pretty common in politics. And it's not one that's often listed, but I think it's very important given the last election cycle. It is when people begin to mobilize behind an issue, and then even though there may be alternative facts, figures, and ideas regarding that, no one wants to discuss it. So only one view is being pushed forward and one agenda gets pushed forward. We can see that right now in the gun violence movement and the anti-certain types of guns. And the push seems to sound like no guns anywhere. Well, there's another whole argument that has to do with the Second Amendment. And so people, especially news stations, are loath to discuss that at this moment because it's to challenge victims. That is a huge taboo anywhere that you gather. You can't really successfully challenge someone who's, for all basic purposes, been a victim of violence. One of the last signs that you're engaging in groupthink is sanctimony. Sanctimony everywhere. When you start to realize that your group has a basic belief that their morality is superior to some other group or other people, you know you've just entered the realm of groupthink.
So is groupthink always a bad thing?
Well, groupthink often gets confused with collaboration, and the two are very different. An effective collaboration involves both divergent thinking and convergent thinking, each having its place in the process towards effective outcomes. And I'm going to read this next part because it's important. Groupthink is never a positive phenomenon. It always involves shutting down debate and open discussions of alternative perspectives and even facts that might negate the position or direction held by the group. To understand just how negative the phenomena, consider how the first people to claim the earth was a globe were treated. They were punished. The more affluent and powerful a mind guard is, the more control they have over influencing content fed not only to their in-group, but also to what is disseminated to the larger out-groups, with intent of making those individuals members of the in-group. They control the filters and they control the spin. They control the rewards and they control the punishments.
We see groupthink all the time in government. Hell, we have seen it since the 1960s, since the Bay of Pigs invasion. You know, that was a bunch of men that all came from the same backgrounds, had similar education. They all hung out with each other, and all of them were too afraid to stand up to one another and ask the dumb question and say, hey, maybe this isn't such a good idea. And they all kind of conformed to each other because they felt like all of them were just as smart as each other, and if nobody else had said anything, why should they speak up and say anything? And in later interviews, a lot of those gentlemen that were in that room came back and said they had serious reservations about what they were doing. So, like, how would you combat that?
That's a good question. You know, I think you gotta be able to think for yourself. You gotta be able to step up and ask that question, and you gotta be able to challenge a group leader who kind of stands out. And you got to be able to recognize when people are just agreeing in order to agree and not really thinking for themselves. So it's a lot of self-reflection in the moment and, you know, recognizing when you need to step up and ask the hard questions.
Yeah, I agree. I think you definitely need to get out of your comfort zone when you're in a situation like that. And even though you could be going against social norms or the group norms that you're with, it's very important to have somebody in a group setting like that that can say, hey, wait a minute, let's take a step back, look at this from a different angle and see where we can go from there. Because if you get, you know, that hive mind like you were talking about earlier, if you get that sort of mentality, then you run into a number of complications that you can run into. You know, what are some examples that you can think of?
You know, I'm thinking a lot in each political camp. You've got opinion leaders who kind of direct the followers, and they kind of go along with every little thing that you say, and it's kind of like bullet points, you know what I mean? So I'm seeing a lot of that stuff recently. That's one thing that comes to mind. What about you?
For me, I see a lot of this on social media. You know, you see tons of people arguing they have a very hard-line political view, and they can't seem to get out of their own little box that they're in, and they all just rally around each other and create this big version of groupthink. And I think it really influences people, and it influences the way we think about things, especially in the political environment. I feel like in order to combat this, we need to look at things from an overall perspective, and we got to take into consideration everybody's viewpoint. Otherwise, nothing's ever going to be able to move forward.
So what else can we do to combat groupthink?
You need to plan ahead for groupthink because it frequently will raise its head. You want to have a facilitator or one or more people in a group that will openly encourage fact gathering and debate. You want somebody that's going to moderate in a way that encourages people that might stay silent to open up and speak their position, what they see, what they've learned. You want a moderator that keeps their personal opinion off the table, because somebody who is a powerful moderator or leader often can influence the entire group to move in their direction.
So with all that we've heard and seen tonight about groupthink, I think it's good information, and I'd like to challenge you guys, the audience, to see if you're in a groupthink, if you're involved in it, if it's affecting any part of your life, and see what you can do about that.
And thank you guys for watching. I'm Justin.
And I'm Jordan.
Have a good night.